From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello, welcome to a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. My name is Sven Erlinson. I am the host of this madness. And wherever you are joining in from, whether it is Kenya or the UK or Quebec City or any other odd, wonderful, beautiful place that I still haven't visited, I wish I were where you are now, because then I would get to visit your odd, wonderful place. Anywho, I am here, joined in studio by KC and Rob the Rocket. Rob, how are you today? What's the word?
I'm fine. Happy New Year. Here it is, 2024 already.
Wow.
You know, first week of January, and just everything looks great, doesn't
It's wunderbar,
Yeah.
especially up in Quebec City.
Yeah.
I hear it's snowy up there, beautiful. I still have to get up there. We've got folks in from Edinburgh, Scotland. We've got folks in from Jersey, Missouri, South Africa, all sorts of folks from everywhere, and it's great. So we're going to dive right in with our very first question of the day. This is from Lind Mill over here on TikTok. I've got TikTok going live, Facebook going live, and YouTube going live with the uncut video. Lind Mill says, how do I set boundaries with people who have no one else? I'm drowning because people latch on. The tell in what you just wrote was who have no one else. You didn't ask, how do I set boundaries? You asked for setting boundaries with a particular category of people who have no one else. And your stating that implies that you feel bad for them, that they have no one else, and you feel obligated to be the person that they have. Unfortunately, the price of you being that person that no one has, that, you know, they don't have anyone else, you being that person, is it's sucking the life out of you. And what that tells me is that your sense of obligation to people who have no one else exceeds your sense of obligation to yourself. You're not holding your boundaries either because you believe you're not allowed to, you can't, or you're afraid. And they're likely tied together, but you are afraid of something. Lind Mill, who asks the question, how do I set boundaries with people who have no one else? I'm drowning because people latch on. You're not drowning because people latch on. You're drowning because, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but you're drowning because you let people latch on. You're drowning because you're not saying no. And in there is a fear, I guarantee it. And if I were to speculate, the fear is that if I say no, I'm a bad person. If I say no, I'm unloving. Let me ask you this question, Lind, and I won't get to hear your response, but I would ask the question simply this. What is the one sentence above all else that you most fear hearing someone say, or most fear someone thinking about you, if you were to set a boundary and say, no, I can't help you, or if you were to just not answer their call or what have you? What's the one sentence you most fear someone thinking or saying to you if you were to not answer? And that is your fear. And then I would ask you actually the question, who do you most fear hearing it from? Who do you most fear hearing it from? Or who would be most likely to say it? Whoever it is, that whatever that sentence is, that's what you're really afraid of. The fear that if I do what I actually want and say no to people or create boundaries, I fear people thinking that that I'm not a good person, I'm not a good religious person, or if it's a faith thing, or that I'm no good, or see, I don't really care. Whatever it is, that's what you fear. And the person who would be most likely to say it is the person whose voice is in your head. And it's that voice, it's that person's power over you, even still, now in adulthood, it's that person's power in your life that keeps you giving away your life in service to others at the expense of yourself. And until you face the fear of them thinking that and be okay with that person thinking it, until you do that and go into that fear, you won't set your boundaries, or you'll set them, but you'll back down. And backing down, you might as well not even have boundaries, because it's even worse, because you're saying I have a boundary and then you don't. In other words, people know you're full of shit. So until you begin to matter enough to look at those fears and go into it, you're not going to change your boundaries. So do the work of going into it and feeling it and addressing it and ask myself, will I be okay even if they say that? Next question. We've got a question here from Captain A-Hole.
Another one?
Well, hold on. This is... I'm going to read it. I'm going to read this as it's stated. All right. So I'm going to play the ball as it lies for all you golf folk. Captain A-Hole on TikTok asks, how do I recover? Lifelong experiences of being cheated on by women. I'm decent man, hung, and smart. Hey, man, let's just put it all out there. Hey, don't hold back. Don't sugarcoat it for me here. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, God bless you. And as a person who's not well hung, hey, God bless you. We're all different. All God's critters got a place in the choir, right? Okay. So anyway, how do I recover lifelong experiences of being cheated on? Really, it's exactly the same as what I was just saying to the last person, to Lindmill, and that is you have to go into that pain. I guarantee you, if you've been cheated on, and lifelong experience says, so you've been cheated on multiple times, I guarantee you there's massive amount of pain, sadness, betrayal, and hatred inside of you. I guarantee it. Absolute fact. And you have to begin to remember those, and journaling and writing letters that you don't send. You have to begin to remember those, allow up those feelings, and begin to put them more and more into words. And of course, I would want to dive into, were you cheated on multiple times by one person? And if so, did you know about it after they had cheated the first time? How much of the cheating was done with your cognizance or you taking them back? Because those are indicators of deeper problems. And the deeper problems are that you're allowing it. And so then that says, well, you've got conditioning from your childhood that says that I hate myself so much, or I'm afraid to be alone, or I'm afraid to be alone because all those voices in my head come rising up inside of me and they're too terrifying and they're too debilitating. So you've got so much shit inside of you, Captain. You got so much that you have to begin to flush out. And you can't just live your life by being well hung or good in bed, because you're getting basically, and I'm taking it seriously when I say that because then you're just getting surface level love and attention rather than going into your actual pain and beginning to love on yourself. All right. Next question. Go ahead, Rob, if you got one for me.
All right, this is from YouTube, Sven, and I give you a choice. One of these is about a power imbalance, and one of them is about arguing with God. Which one do you want?
Power imbalance first. We may do them both.
Okay, here we go. My boss has power over me, and I can't leave my job. What do I do?
Well, that implies that your boss is doing or saying things that you don't want. The truth is, people bully because they can. People bully because no one is stopping them, and you're not to blame for your boss treating you that way. Of course not. But in the end, it won't stop until you stop it. And if you are in a situation where it's a small company and it's just the boss is the boss and has all power, at some point you've got to find an exit because, or be okay with exiting. But at some point, you're going to have to stand up to your boss or go to the fucking HR department. That's why HR departments exist. But that means no matter what action you take, you have to be willing to walk away from your job or lose your job. And you said, well, I can't. And what I'm saying is, until you stand up to this, it's going to persist. Period. Otherwise, you're just placating the bully. Neville Chamberlain's famous piece of paper. You can't placate a bully. All right? And until you have the courage to walk away if it gets bad enough, or until you just have the courage to walk away because it's already gotten bad enough, you're stuck. And so you've got to create an exit. You have to create an exit, or at least be okay if an exit happens. But I say go straight to HR and report this shit and don't back the fuck down. Do not back down because it's not okay. It's absolutely wrong, in fact. Rob, give me the other question.
All right, just one quick follow-up from that first one.
Mm-hmm.
Can't leave because of the boy I look after. I have to protect him. Not sure what that means.
Oh, it could be that you're working for someone, taking care of their boy, and the person who is the parent or the caretaker of that boy is the a-hole. And so I don't want to leave to save myself at the expense of the boy. Okay, I get that.
Work as nanny, it says.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, a couple of things. I honor your instinct to take care of that child. That's probably why you're good at your job, a big part of it. But in the end, if that person is bad to the child, then you have a responsibility to report that to protective services, to the law. You have an obligation to do that, a moral obligation. It would seem, unless that isn't your morality, then that's your decision. But obviously it is your morality because you're staying. But at some point, really what's weighing inside of you is save myself or save the child. And you're choosing for now to save the child, and that's fine. I would still stand up to the person because bear in mind also, at some point you're going to need to save yourself, unfortunately, because you're going to drown, and you are drowning, and your pain is going to get worse, but you have levers that you can employ, such as engaging the law, but also bear in mind, you have an employer that needs you. So you have some amount of leverage here. They need you, and it would likely take them time to recover from that or to find someone new. But I encourage you to engage whatever levers you have to be good to that child. But then also you got to save yourself at some point, because you're not doing the rest of your life. Who else do you have obligation to? Do you have children of your own? Isn't your obligation to your own children just as high, if not higher, than your obligation to these? Or go ahead, Rob, you want to say something? Okay. All right, next question, Rob.
All right, this is the one I mentioned before. When writing letters you don't send, how do you reconcile wanting to write a letter to God himself for everything that's happened in your life?
Oh, fucking write the letter. God loves that shit. I absolutely believe if there's a God, I look at it this way. I'm a former pastor, as you all know. I still do occasional weddings and funerals, but I'm a former pastor. And, over the course of a couple decades. And I always, I was raised in a home. My dad was a pastor. Four of my uncles were pastors. One of my uncles was a missionary in Ecuador. My mom was the head of an education system at some very fucking large churches and taught at the graduate level and in theology and so forth. And I was raised that questions are good. When it comes to faith, questions are good. Do you want to know why? Because if I'm at a party, I'm supposed to be at a party tonight that I'm actually hosting. And if I'm at a party and I have someone there and I ask them a question, is my asking them a question, if you think of that in terms of if you were to put asking a question in terms of physicality, is it stepping towards someone or is it stepping away from someone? See, the way faith is traditionally construed, or in some circles, faith is construed as that if you question God, you are stepping away from God. And to some degree it is. You're not just eating it hook, line, and sinker. But to me, a question is a means of engagement. I'm engaging with someone. I'm stepping towards someone at a party if I ask them sincere questions. And also, in the most serious relationships, whether it's your love relationship or your relationship with your kids or your parents or your best friend, putting your real stuff on the table rather than just walking away or pretending it doesn't exist means I want an authentic relationship with you. I want real engagement. I want us to have a real deep conversation where we address the real shit. And trust me, if your best friend can handle it or if you can handle it, God can handle it. Go to God with your questions and rage and fume. I'm pretty sure God can take it. If there is a God, I'm pretty sure God can take it. There's nothing you can do to alienate yourself from an unconditional loving God. Go with your questions. Go with your anger. Flush it out of your system. God wants you to heal. And how do we heal? By getting the shit out of us. And if you got to rage on God, fucking rage on God. He can take it. I'm pretty sure he can. Or she can, or it can, or whatever. Let's not go down that road.
One of your listeners is echoing that, saying it's okay to yell at God. He can take it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Got a question here on Facebook from Harriet. Hi, Harriet. Good to have you back. It's not that I fear alone. I just fear getting older without having a guy or just sharing life with. Yeah, but that implies fear. Fear of being alone in old age or older age. Or you stated as, I fear getting older without having a guy. And my question to you would be, what is the fear in that? What do you fear most about not having a guy or someone to share it with? You're saying, I fear doing it alone, right? And that's okay. And I would want to know, what is it specifically you fear about not having a guy and doing it alone? And that, I'm betting, it's the feeling of loneliness and so forth. And that's okay. And you got to go further into those feelings, because that is fear, that is pain, and that is about loneliness, not to mention potentially all the feelings inside and what it says to you about you and so forth. All right, next question. Tracy asked the question, why are alcoholics so level-headed when sober but be cruel when drinking? I am not an addiction expert. I've had tons of clients over the years who have been addicted to this, that, or the other thing and choose to work with me anyway, but I'm in no way an addiction expert. So with that caveat being said, I'll simply say, why are alcoholics, you ask, so level-headed when sober, but so cruel when drinking? Well, first of all, not all alcoholics are cruel when drinking. We've all heard the phrase happy drunk, loud drunk, sad drunk, angry drunk, right? We've all heard those phrases. And yours is, because what happens with some drugs? They reduce our inhibitions. So what's really going on in that love cup now comes spilling out onto you. right? They're not keeping it down. And in level-headed when sober, because they got to keep their shit together and they got to get along in society. But once you remove that cap, here's my coffee cup, take the cap off the cup. Once you decap the cup, once the cup is uncapped, then everything inside of there comes spilling out. And the truth is, you're an addict in most cases because you got shit inside you that you're running from. That's shit from your fucking childhood. Well, you you decap the cup and all the shit comes pouring out. That's why. You know what's interesting though, and you guys have heard me maybe say this before. I've done one video on this. It was about 2 winters ago. And I had some clients at the time who were addicts, in relationships with addicts. And we were talking about addiction and so forth. And I said, I asked them the question. It was a bit of a setup, but I asked them the question, what do you hate the most about your addict lover? And very often it's, when they're on it, they're this, that, the other thing. But gosh, I love them when they're sober. And I said, no, you don't. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, old man? And I said, you don't love them when they're sober. Yeah, I do. That's just dumb. That's when they're actually likable. That's when they're actually kind. That's when they're actually whatever. I said, no, you hate them most when they're sober. And because when they're sober is when they're not taking steps to stop drinking. They're not going to rehab. They're not following through. So you almost can't even blame the person when they're doing their addiction, whatever form it is, gambling, stealing, whatever it is, overworking, overparenting. You almost, because they're so caught up in their need to escape their life. But when they are sober, when they are level-headed, that's when they're not taking the steps to solve it. The real hatred is for the sober one who won't fucking stay that way, who won't fucking go to rehab. That's your real anger. All right, next question. Here on Facebook says, I don't sleep very well to start with. Doctors just want to mask this with drugs. I'm not a medical professional, and I am not one to speak disparagingly at doctors because, I don't know, plenty of people have had bad experiences with doctors, and I have generally had very good experiences with doctors, not necessarily therapists and counselors. But yes, there are some out there that want to mask stuff with just drugs, right? And you can choose that or not choose that, as it is, in fact, your body, whether it's not getting sleep or getting the healing that you want. You can choose the drug way and the, sorting out your problems way or whatever. But in the end, are you making progress? Is this furthering your growth? Is this furthering your healing in life? Or is this just a coping mechanism? Whatever the mechanism is, and therapy can be very much just a coping mechanism where we're just skimming the surface. We're just talking about the usual shit or just this last week or whatever, and we're not going deeper into the stuff. Is your therapist pushing you? That's a question to be asking. And if not, are you pushing yourself when you're not in session? If not, no one's being pushed. I'm sorry, you don't make gains without being pushed, whether you're in the gym or you're a runner or you're a swimmer or you're an entrepreneur or you're a cellist. If you're not pushing yourself, you're not going to improve. You're just coasting. All right, next question.
I got a pretty good one here, I think.
Lay it on me, Moo Cow.
Yes. I am a farm animal frequently.
That's from a Sesame Street special.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I like the reference.
All right, I like Sesame Street.
I struggle feeling comfortable in social settings, and it really irritates me. I've always been introverted and quiet, but want to enjoy social interaction more and make connections. Any advice?
Yeah, you're terrified. You're terrified. And the advice would be for you to drill down into what your greatest fear is in that situation. And also where you are taught to be scared. See, very often if someone becomes, not always, but very often if someone becomes an introvert or in social situations doesn't want to say anything, why? Because in all likelihood, 99% chance in childhood when you stuck your head above ground or when you expressed a feeling, you got your head cut off. Or maybe you didn't even have to express much and you still got your head cut off. You got criticized, you got shut down, you got told you were stupid or your voice didn't matter or you weren't even heard or whatever it was. It conditioned you to be afraid of opening your fucking mouth. It conditioned you to be afraid of putting your authentic self out there. It's actually really, really common. You're not alone on that. And some people who are actually quite fluent in social situations still have that fear. That exact fear, but they push through it. And they're not necessarily happier than you because they're pushing through in response to the fear. So they're still living from that fear. And so what's the answer then, Sven? The answer is going into the fear. The answer is looking at the origins. Who the fuck taught me? Who the fuck beat me down? conditioned me to believe that my voice is no good, or it's going to get criticized, or it's crap, or I'm stupid, or whatever it might be, because you got conditioned to do that. And that's why in social situations, you're staying within that conditioning. And I totally understand why you are. I'm not judging you for that. I've been there. We've all, we all have our conditioning, and it affects us. But in the end, if you desire to no longer be that way, then you have to have the courage to look at what the hell, where did this really come from? What's really going on in me? And it's fear, and it's childhood, and what are the truths? Who taught you this? What were the messages they used to convey this? Either implicit or explicit, or maybe it was just a sideways glance and a shake of the head, and you felt about this tall, right? Or whatever it was, but it got conveyed to you. So one, what are the truths? What are the origins? Who did it? How did it feel back then? And this is very often the tricky part. I don't want to feel those fucking feelings. It's felt so bad. Exactly. So all those feelings are still stuck in you. And it's those negative feelings and so forth, and the hurt and the pain that are driving you now to stay, reclusive in social situations. Why? Because I don't want to feel all those feelings again. I don't want confirmation of all those feelings. And not only that, I don't want some new experience that triggers all of those emotional charges from all those past events. You get charged. So you spend your life with all these sticks of dynamite inside from all the pain in the past, hoping they don't blow up. And so you do everything in your power to avoid anything that looks like a match or a lighter. But the real solution isn't to avoid matches and lighters, it's to get rid of the dynamite. And we do that by going in and looking at where these things came from. So again, the truths of where they came from and who sent them, how they were conveyed, to all the feelings that go with it. And then 3, sometimes the hardest part is the implications. Shit. If I look at that, man, if that's true, that means, God, I never had a mother to begin with. She wasn't a mother. She was a blah, blah, blah. Or, you know what? My parents were, checked out, or, whatever it might be. And the implications that, why am I having a relationship with this person today? And if I really let myself think about this stuff, why am I still in conversation with this person when they're just repeating patterns? And you think, well, what does that have to do with me in a social situation? Everything. All your past conditioning has everything to do with what you're doing at that party this evening. All right. And that means you, Rob. You're going to be at that party.
I'm scared.
No introversion, man. All right, here we go.
I can talk about the podcast. And it is time for a break, Sven. Would you like to talk about your new book, or would you like one of your fans to talk about Love Cup? The choice is yours.
Well, the new book is Badass Wisdom, and it is available on the website, badasscounseling.com. In audiobook, it is only available at badasscounseling.com. It's a 366-day meditational, journaling prompts, questions, anecdotes, great quotes, and it's just basically a page a day. Some days are a little bit longer. The audiobook, Rob and I recorded in studio. It's me narrating it, and some of Rob's music as background music, intro music, and the ebook and the paperback are also available on the website, badasscounseling.com. It's the follow-up to There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It's sort of a side book, and it takes the daily work on it down to a daily granular level. And it's for people wanting to level up, especially people just starting out to the self-help world, but also people wanting to go to the next level after Love Cup, or people who just want the daily shot in the arm sort of thing. But yeah, that's Badass Wisdom. And just to make one other point, Rob,
sir,
it due out very, 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 very soon is the Spanish translation of There's a Hole in My Love Cup.
Bueno.
Yes, me too. And it will be coming out on audiobook, paperback, and ebook. Very excited about that. That is our first translation. Very excited about that. So if you know someone who would benefit from There's a Hole in My Love Cup and my counseling and all the work we do, but is more fluent in Spanish or would get more out of it in Spanish, please keep your eyes and ears open for that. It is coming soon. Thank you, Rob.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We're back. Why do I keep lighting myself on fire to keep other people warm? And how do I stop? Okay, this is a boundaries question. But not just boundaries question, it's deeper than that. And this really goes back to the exact question we had just a few minutes ago about, people who are in need and have no one else, and I'm taking care of them. You're lighting yourself on fire to keep other people warm because you're conditioned to believe that that's the only hope or the best hope you have of getting love in return. And either getting love in return or avoiding people criticizing you is if I do more and more and more for people, then they'll like me or then they won't be mean to me. Or the voice inside of me that's been criticizing my whole life will be squelched or turned down. The volume will be turned down that says, see, I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. But if I do these things, I feel better about myself or I get a little bit of love in return. You keep lighting yourself on fire because you want love and because you've been taught that you have to purchase it from someone else. I give you a whole bunch and you give me a little bit in return, and that's plenty. I can go a long distance on a little bit of love. It's what I talk about. And there's a hole in my love cup, the relationship camel. All right. Anyway, the question is, so how do I stop? You stop the same way we stop all the other things I've been talking about today. You have the courage to go into all the pain. You have the courage to go in and find those messages. Who taught me this? What were all the feelings equated with it? And flushing it out, journaling, writing letters you don't send. But again, it's not just about boundaries. It's about fear and pain. It's about the fear of having the courage to matter enough to say no and not back down. You're terrified of saying no. You're terrified of what people think, terrified of what those voices inside of you will think. And until you matter enough to yourself to begin to say no, you won't matter enough to yourself, and you'll just keep lighting yourself on fire, so to speak. Next question. How do I explain to my 10-year-old why we do not have a relationship with my abusive family member? My question to you would be, has the 10-year-old asked? Or are you feeling an obligation to tell? Okay, those are two very different things. 10 years old, you want to keep your answers pretty clean and pretty short. Okay? 10-year-old, you don't have to get into the complexities of adult relationships. If your 10-year-old asks, why do we not have a relationship with my abusive family member? Personally, honestly, at age 10, I would say something like, I don't want this person's treatment of us or of me in our lives right now. This person isn't always kind, or it can be very hurtful. And so as a protection of me and as a protection of us, I'm choosing to not have this person in our life right now. And I'm open to talking about it. Do you have any questions? And then let them ask their question. I just gave a 3-sentence answer, and that was just spitballing off the top of my head. So you're giving truth, but you're not going into excessive stuff. You don't need to burden that child with that, but you also don't lie to the child. All right? That'll bite you in the ass later. They'll bite the child in the ass later. Keep it clean, keep it short. If they ask a question, keep it clean and keep it short. As they age, they may have more questions, and you can deal with those at an age-appropriate level of response. But keep it clean and short at that age, but still truthful. All right, next question. What if the man you were dating, not are, what if the man you were dating says, you're nice, but I can't take nice every day? For whatever reason, you were dating him and are no longer, consider yourself lucky. Listen, I have input on that. I was 21, and I remember dating roughly 21, and I remember dating a young woman, and beautiful, smart school teacher, whatever, and which is, for me, one of the noblest professions. My mother was a teacher. I respect teachers, Anyway, but I remember she was nice and so on and so forth. And I remember, and this is, chalk this up to me being young and stupid. And we've all done stupid things when we're young. And this was one of mine. And it's embarrassing if I'm really honest. But I remember dating her and feeling bored with her. And I remember saying to her in one of our fights, it's like, you're always asking me what I want to do. And it's just, and everything's just plain. I feel like I'm dating my shoe. Yeah. Now, 36 years later, it's like, oh God. Ugh. I feel bad, of course. Anyway, that was, 100 years ago. But the point is, there are people that want excitement, and they may not view you as exciting. They may not view me as exciting. Okay. My first long-term relationship in my adulthood was neurotic as high hell. My second long-term relationship, which I sort of moved into in my 30s, was far less so, but still some. My now relationship for the last 10 years, the neurotic sort of crap is 15%. And that's largely because of the things going on outside of our relationship together. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, when I was young, I liked that, your neuroses in a woman, in a relationship, whatever. But as I've aged, it's like, oh God, no, Jesus, it's so draining, right? So the truth is, some people, the bottom line is this, Sarah Ann. I'm going to read Sarah Ann's question again, or statement again. What if the man you are dating says, quote, you're nice, but I can't take nice every day, end quote? What if? Bottom line is, Sarah Ann, some people aren't going to like you. Plenty of people don't like me. Plenty of people don't even like Rob, as hard as that is to believe. I know there are a few people that don't like you, Casey. She's flipping me out. Some people aren't going to like you. And it's the shit we say or we have said to us when someone's breaking up with us, it sticks in our fucking heads. And this is why I always tell people, don't get into reasons for divorces or breakups. There's always only one reason. I just don't feel it anymore. Whatever the confluence of rational or arguments or thoughts or logic behind why I don't feel it, in the end, you don't feel it. It's the same reason you got into the relationship, because you felt something. Oh, they'll provide for me, or oh, he's funny, or oh, she's got blah, blah, blah. She's gorgeous, whatever it is. And it made you feel something. But now I'm leaving the relationship because I don't feel it for whatever the reasons are. By saying those reasons, I'm only going to excite neuroses inside that other person, self-criticism, as you're seeing here, Sarah Ann. Now you find yourself thinking, oh, what does it mean that I'm too nice? And gee, am I too nice? Do I need to be more bitchy? Do I need to da-da-da-da? No, just be you. Just fucking be you and accept that not everyone is going to like you. And that's a hard pill to swallow. I want everyone to like me. There's a certain delight in pissing people off, and I have a gift for it. But anyway, it's somebody's just being hurtful and rude, and that's his own fucking shit. That has nothing to do with you. I'm sure you're lovely, and there are a million people who would love to be with you. So, time to let that one go. Don't keep beating up on yourself because of what some dickhead said to you.
Sven, is it you got to be cruel to be kind in the right measure? It's a very good sign. It means I love you, or is that bullshit?
For those of you wondering, what the hell is coming out of Rob's mouth? Cruel to be kind in the right measure. Who is that?
Well, Sven, after the fact, when I was editing, I remembered it was Nick Lowe, song released, a big hit, actually, in 1979. And now, back to the original recording. I knew you'd ask, and I can't recall.
I rarely get Rob.
But when I edit, I'll just put it in as if I knew. It's happened before. No one knows.
There it is. He'll edit that shit. Crafty little guy. Cruel to be kind. Sometimes, we got to be tough. And that's what boundaries is. It's standing up for yourself and refusing to buy into somebody's reality of what they paint me as if I don't believe it to be true. Walk on, man. All right, next question. Any tips to deal with the passing of a parent you weren't close to? What's fascinating is that you're asking for tips on how to deal with someone that you claim you're not close to. Why would it require tips? Why would it require help? And I'm not dogging you, man. I'm not. I'm just sort of approaching this question this way. Why would I require help for something that you're sort of claiming is no big deal? Well, I wasn't close to them. It's no big deal. Well, then why do you need my help? Okay, but so where I'm going with that is that implies that the person was actually bigger to you than you're letting on. Or, I'm not saying they were big to you, but maybe bigger than you've been admitting. But to play the ball as it lies, tips to deal with death, the passing of a parent. It's all, any death requires grief. And I guarantee you, the child inside of you wanted love from that parent. And it could be that the child inside of you still loved the parent. It's like when you divorce somebody. A lot of times when people divorce, they still love their partner. They're just not in love, or they don't want to deal with, this, or the partner did this bad thing. It doesn't mean they don't love it. And so what I would encourage you really to explore, I would be one to bet what's keeping you stuck, maybe not just your anger or your disappointment in how they treated you or not being there for you or their neglect or whatever it was. But I would offer that what's potentially keeping you stuck in the grieving of the parent is very often what keeps us stuck in past relationships. It's that we still love them. That the relation, I remember after the second big relationship in my life, in my adult life, that I had actually ended. I was the one who ended it, but I found myself a year later still not moving forward. And that's okay. I give myself time to go slowly, but I realized it was my love for her, even though I broke it up, that was keeping me with one foot in the past, that I hadn't fully flushed out all of my love. What I would encourage you to explore, he's asking, any tips to deal with the passing of a parent you weren't close to? Yeah, flush out all your feelings of love and hatred and anger too. All the feelings there, but that's what grieving is. It's all of the feelings. It's not just the sense of loss. It's not just someone we loved, but there are feelings in there. The mere fact that you haven't fully moved on says there are clearly feelings in there that you have not purged yet, and that's what you need to do. And of course, you know me, pen and paper or typing it into your computer. I'm not a, journaling into your phone type of person or talk to text. No, I'm not a fan of those, but whatever. All right, next question. He has there's no question here, but it dovetails with the one I was just addressing. He has dogged me in front of my family and friends and parading his new girl to everyone. I'm angry. Of course you are. You have every right to be. Question is, what are you doing with your anger? Are you keeping it in and stewing on it? Which sometimes we want to do. It feels good, but at some point you're going to have to flush it out because it's just corrupting your own life. He's winning. Not because he's parading your girlfriend, because he's fucking with your own feelings without even trying. That you're angry and that you're choosing anger, which is a response to his actions, rather than choosing to make yourself happy. Yeah, but Sven, I'm angry. I know, I get it. I've been there. But in the end, do you choose your own fucking happiness? And let's be honest. I mean, very often when somebody's on to the new person and they're parading, to use your words, parading the new girl to everyone, that one's probably not going to last. And then you'll get your laugh and so forth. But at some point, you got to choose your own happiness over just living in response to him. Right. Here's an interesting question, Rob. For your Love Cup book, what's a new perspective or lesson you have found since writing it? Ha! That's great. I love that question. Oh, man. Honestly, shit. I'm coming to TikTok here on my phone, so I can't show you my phone. I would show you the phone in my notes section. I have the next book coming. Because I started writing Love Cup in 16 or 17, came out in 18. That's basically 8 years ago. It's been 8 years since I started that book, and that was based on 25 years of counseling people, right? And since that time, now when I counsel people, I require them to read at least half the book before we work together. So that means I wanted them to have all of my exercises, all of my thoughts, 80% of my counseling method, all of it right there. And what that does then is because they've ingested it before we go into counseling. Now, when we're in counseling, we're moving faster, and I'm encountering new problems or new metaphors or new mechanisms or new tools. And so I've created a whole new book that I haven't written yet based on all the stuff that I've developed since then. But you ask the specific question, what is one? Give us an example of a new perspective or lesson you've had since writing it. Okay, here's one. The power of hate. And I'm not talking politics and shit like that. I'm talking about the power of particularly repressed hate for parents who have wronged us. People don't want to look at the word hate for the most part. People don't want to often admit that they did have hatred, even if it was 20% or 40%. People don't like to touch the hate. They would say, hey, I'm not a hater. I'm trying not to hate. I don't want to give that person that power, that energy. It's like, no. Hate is just one more feeling. It is a natural response to certain experiences in life. Sadness is a natural response. If your dog dies, sadness is a very natural response. If your dog dies by getting hit by a drunk driver, knock on wood, hate is a very natural response. Anger is a very natural response. Now, that doesn't mean I go and, key the person's car or blow them up or whatever, but my feeling is natural. But so many people are conditioned to believe at a very young age that your feelings are not okay or they're not allowed to be out. I've had clients where anger wasn't allowed in their home, sadness wasn't allowed in their home, happiness wasn't allowed in their home, whatever. Hate is very, 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 very seldom allowed in anyone's home. And so those feelings that would be natural responses to life experiences aren't allowed to get out of them. And so they get stuffed down deep inside of them. And the power of hate as a healing tool. That's really the insight that when I'm able to take people down into, if it's there, very often it is. If I'm able to get them down, to get them to trust me and hold my hand and let me walk them into the cave of their real feelings, particularly the hatred, not just anger, but the hatred, the rage, the fucking rage of having to have me talk to them about how that child that they was treated and maybe still is treated. It's profoundly healing. Profoundly healing. We saw it. We just taped an episode today. We just taped a counseling episode today that likely Rob has put out. By the time you actually hear this podcast, it was probably put out last week or will come out next week. It's with a guy named Jeffrey, and the power of us talking about all the hate that he didn't even want to look at.
Yes, the episode with Jeffrey first dropped on December 14th, Sven.
All right, so that's my answer to that question. All right, people, next question. Tell them how to flush it out. You guys are constantly hearing me tell you guys how to flush it out, right? Journaling, writing it out. You have to put it into words. It's not enough to release the physical discharge. It's not enough to just cry. It's not enough to go for a run whenever you're feeling down. That gets rid of the physical energy, but the emotional trauma is still inside of you. The emotional charges are still there. That's why people go to counseling, whether they're aware of it or not, is to put words to what they're experiencing, particularly what they experience, particularly the pain, the truths of it all, the implications of it all. But it has to, journaling, writing letters you don't send. And there are some other tools I talk about in my book. There's a hole in my love cup, and there it is. And it's been out. It continues to sell extremely well. It's available at badasscounseling.com. Actually, it has increased in sales, continues to do so. It's great. And it's available on audiobook. Yes, you're stuck listening to me in the audiobook. I am the one narrating it. All right, next question. It's hard for too many to embrace and let go of feelings in a controlled, positive way. I fail often. Oh, absolutely. I love that. I love that you said that, Alfonso, that it's hard to do. And a lot of times people don't want to let out or purge or, express all those feelings that have been bottled up for so long. Sven, if I touched that, it would overwhelm me. It would shut me down. Yeah. And that's why I teach you these tools for doing it. And you start small, just start small. Or start big if you want. But you have to get into the practice of doing it. And yeah, you're going to have to microdose it in the beginning. You're going to have to take it in doses, whether it's daily or once a week for 3 hours or whatever it is, this purging of it and then putting it back. Purging some more and putting it back. But it's a process. And I mean, just be really honest. If you're 200 pounds overweight and you want to get in shape and be healthy physically, you got to go to the gym. Well, but Sven, it's too much. It's too hard. Or let's say you're, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in debt and you want to get rid of the debt. Well, you got to start saving. You got to start cutting back. Less hamburgers, less dinners out, less, movies, whatever it is. Well, that's too hard. Yeah, exactly. It is too hard. And at some point, the pain of living this way gets bad enough. You say, fuck it, I got to do this. I'm going to discipline myself. I'm going to do this, hard and sucky as it may be. Go ahead, Rob, your turn.
All right. Here's one. My 11-year-old son wants to know how to handle a bully that won't hear no and has been bullying for years. My son does not want to get in trouble or fight.
Forgive me for asking the obvious question. But at this point, why is your son having to handle this? How old's the son?
11 years old.
Why is the son having to deal with someone who's been bullying them for multiple years? And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but why is the parent not involved in this situation and shutting that shit the fuck down? To the point of changing schools, changing neighborhoods. I don't give a shit. You get that kid the fuck out of there. You want to know why? And I'm not scolding at all. All right? It's a hard position to be in. But what you're fundamentally doing for that child, I guarantee you, and especially if they're my client 25 years from now, that child is going to be pissed as high heaven towards you. Why? You didn't save him. That's your job. Get him out of there. Shut that shit down. The kid is afraid of getting in trouble. Yeah, afraid of getting bullied further, afraid of, people knowing that he ratted out the bully, whatever. You get that shit shut down. That kid should not have to defend himself. Now, some people would say, well, you punch a bully in the nose. There's times in life when we metaphorically have to, or, there are those rare times when someone's being physically aggressive and you got to shut them down. But expecting an 11-year-old to have to defend himself is not okay. That's the parent's job. Your job is to protect that child, and what you are doing is you are normalizing this behavior, and you're saying, I'm not going to save you, and you have to save your child. And that child as an adult is going to have every right to be pissed that you didn't save me, that you kept me in that situation. And if your child is wetting the bed, if your child's grades are tanking, if the child starts turning to drugs, and yeah, it's not too young at that age to start, or very soon, if the child stops trying in life, if the child pulls away from you, all of these are responses to not feeling safe. And the parent's job is to create safety around my child, to protect, not just provide, protect, provide, love, give love too. And in this form, it means you standing up. And if you got to move to a new neighborhood, you got to move to a new neighborhood. If you got to get your kid in a different school, you got to homeschool your kid. Whatever you got to do, you got to get your kid the fuck out of there and create a new reality, because your kid is living in hell. And I guarantee I could put up right now, hey, how many of you were bullied as a kid? And how did it feel? And what did you want done? You'd see some interesting responses. And actually, you know what? Go ahead. You got that question on YouTube, Rob?
Yes, I did, and there's a follow-up from the questioner.
Okay.
Did not want to override him navigating it himself. We do have dialogue with school, but happens in weird ways in a small alternative school.
No, you absolutely have to override your child. If your child is not safe. It's 11 years old, Rob?
Yes.
11-year-old has no idea. They don't know their ass from their elbow. They don't know what's best for them. The idea of giving a child self-governance in a situation where the child is not physically safe is not a good idea. I mean, that's like saying to my child, they broke their leg and they're, 12 years old, and the 12-year-old says, I'm not going to the doctor. It's like, that's funny. And then you grab them by the nape of the neck and you go see the fucking doctor to reset the leg. All right, this child doesn't know what's best for him, and so yeah, get the child safety. Alternative school, if there's not working with the school, it's telling the school you need to make this happen, and you parent need to make it happen as well. But this is a deeper issue here. This is a deeper issue that if you and I were in counseling together, I would want to ask you why you are abdicating power to your child in a situation of your child's physical safety. If there were a fear, and maybe there isn't one, but if there were a fear operating here inside of you, what is the primary fear driving your sort of detachment from taking control of the situation? I'm willing to bet there is some anxiety or some fear that if I step in and make the decisions, what? Is it that my child, my 11-year-old, will be mad at me? I'm betting that's it. Or my spouse would be mad. Let him fight his own battles or some shit like that. I'd be really curious to know what your fear is. And in this case, what that means is that if there is a fear, and I'd be willing to bet there is one, if there is a fear, that means your own fears are overriding your child's personal physical safety, and that's not good. All right, next question. How do Daly survive with a DA wife? Everyone says just let her be that way and love her through it. Now, I need clarification from you, Kevin, on what you mean by DA, because there are multiple meanings or interpretations of DA. Dismissive avoidance. Okay. When it comes to basic chores, work, bills, no. Oh, God, you don't let that shit go. You got people saying just love her through it. Fuck that shit. No. You stand up and you say no. But the problem is you've stood up and said no before and you've backed down. It's the backing down that's the problem. You're letting someone run roughshod over you because you're terrified to stand up. You don't want the blowback. It's not worth the hassle. Really? Well, then this is what you get. If it's not worth the hassle of standing up for yourself, whatever the situation in life, then the shit that you are eating now, you are choosing. You are allowing. It is a choice. And I'm not dogging you for that. It's your fucking life. And I'm not just talking to you right now, Kevin. I'm talking to anyone that's allowing themselves to be treated a certain way. It's your choosing this shit. And, as my older brothers used to say to me, hey, shit or get off the pot, man. Just like, if you're not going to do something about it, you abdicate your right. You lose your right to complain about it. It's like Sven, brothers would say, shut up or do something about it, man. Basic chores, work, and bills, and she's avoiding it. Oh, yeah. Why? Do you want to know why she's doing it? Because she can. Because she knows you'll do it. She's taking advantage of you. And until you stop allowing that, potentially having to walk away, she's going to keep doing it. Why would she change? There's no pain point. You caterwauling, you saying, oh, I want you to change. I want you to change. Clearly, you're not with someone who listens to your voice, and your voice alone matters. My girlfriend says something to me, and she says it once. It fucking implants. I always told my kids when they were growing up, you don't have to yell with me. I hear you, and I'm responsive. That when I love someone, I hear what they're saying, and I take it seriously. And if my girlfriend or one of my kids or even Rob or someone I love, has something they want from me or want to change, I'll take it in and I'll consider it. And very often I'll do it. Okay. And furthermore, if I'm in any sort of relationship, I consider myself at least half responsible for this relationship. And so she doesn't see herself as responsible. She is responsible to this relationship. She doesn't see herself as having to be positively responsive to you. And you got to ask yourself the question then, Kevin, why the hell am I in a relationship with someone who doesn't see themselves as needing to be responsive to me and playing on a team? She doesn't want to play on a team. She wants you to serve her, and you're choosing it. And you're choosing it because you're afraid, Kevin. And I'm not dogging you, okay? But you're afraid. You're afraid of being on your own, afraid of walking away, afraid of the blowback. And so this is the shit you're going to eat until you're no longer afraid. And that's why I always tell people, that shit will cripple relationships more than anything. Fear of pain. And that's what's going on here. All right. Disabled and can't work, and support system is abandoned me. I'm not sure how to keep going. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're at this place. And I've been in a very, very, very similar place in my own life. And you need to continue to reach out. First of all, on the physical side of it, you need to continue to reach out to different social services, places to get your physical needs met. Okay? Food, water, shelter. Okay? Churches, synagogues, temples, start reaching out, finding those resources, using the Google. All right? Also, in terms of your own shit inside of you, that's what's weighing you down. That's what's killing you. And that's what makes things seem more and more hopeless. And you need to be going into that, journaling, writing letters you don't send. You need to be flushing out all of your pain, all of your hopelessness, all of your misery. It's a two-pronged attack. And having been a person who was in a suicidal depression for 12 years and slit my wrists, I know where you're at emotionally. Okay? Different circumstances got me there, but I know where you're at and I've lived it. And it is hard, but you have to do that. And at some point, what you really realize is I'm going to have to start making different choices. I'm going to have to start believing in myself, fighting for myself, standing up. You deserve to live and you deserve to have a good life. And I hope you'll do the work necessary. And yes, I know it's hard. All right. I lived on the streets for years. I get it. But at some point you got to choose to live. And I know you are each day. And again, I'm sorry for what you're going through. All right. We're going to take one more, maybe two. All right. Here we go. Can singing replace journaling? Oh, I love that. I love that question. Yes and no. Yes, as a means of self-expression, singing, yes. I would ask, are you writing songs or are you singing songs that already exist? And I know that may sound dopey, but the goal is to put my experience to my words. Now, very often the music of other people gives me words. I've had plenty of clients who got through hard times because of the songs of Metallica or fucking, Black Sabbath or Eminem or what have you, okay? But if you're talking about singing, I'm singing other people's songs, yes, that can be helpful. That can be cathartic. But again, it makes you feel good in the moment, but I don't believe it is actually drilling down to the issue. It's like doing yoga or going for a run or hearing someone's music. Yes, it can be powerfully helpful, but in the end, I have to put my experience to words and drill down to the origins of the sources of my pain. So it can be an excellent tool. Yes, Carrie Lane, in helping you and in coping. But as far as the actual healing, it requires the written word as well and or counseling. All right. This is going to be the final question du jour. Cherry Zombie asks or says it needs to be paired with self-reflection to have that power. But self-reflection, as long as it's still inside of you, isn't enough. It has to be flushed out of you. It has to be put onto words, because as long as it's still inside of me, I'm experiencing the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts. Once I put them outside of me, now I'm seeing them. I'm not in them. I'm an observer, and I can pull them apart and I can see it differently. There's a difference. This is why we have to get it out. All right. Like I said, one more question, and then we're calling it a day here, people. What can I do or say to help my daughter who struggles with depression and terrible anxiety? You don't give the age of your child, whether it's a child, teen, adult child, what it is. What you can say or do to help your child with depression and terrible anxiety is get them into counseling, encourage them to write out their feelings in journaling and in writing letters, encouraging them to get out their feelings that they may have towards you. But inside of them are memories that have very powerful emotional charges attached to them from their childhood. And that's all the stuff that has to get out. I'd say get the kid into counseling. I'd say send the kid my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. Or, sign up for my counseling. Go to badasscounseling.com. Read the counseling page first, and then reach out through the contacts page. But this person needs help, tools for getting all of that pain, hatred, anger, rage, sadness, and the truths that go along with them out of her. Last question. Why do empaths continue to attract takers? Well, I'll answer it this way. Why does anyone continue to attract takers? Because they choose to not look at the sources of why they are allowing someone to run all over them. Because they believe that my worth is tied up in giving and being tuned into someone else. Very often, if someone calls themselves an empath, they're saying, I'm so tuned into everyone else, I can't turn it off. Well, there are tools for turning it off. And until you do turn it off, what you're fundamentally doing is you're saying, this person being an empath, quote unquote, means that person's feelings, vibe, energy has unfettered access to me. In other words, I don't have a boundary. I don't have any way of shutting it down. I don't believe that. You do have ways of shutting them down. It's learning those ways of shutting them down, because otherwise you're giving them full access to you. And if you are not willing to meter, to gauge, to put a gate on who gets to be inside of you, then you're saying I have no boundaries. And then you're just susceptible to the vicissitudes of life, to any impulse from any direction. That's why you continue to attract them, because they realize you are absorbing, you're taking, you're eating the shit energy they're giving out. The takers are giving out. And likely you believe that in order to get love, I have to keep giving. And that's not a definition of love. Certainly not a healthy version of love. All right. People, I tell you what, this has been a great episode. Thank you for all your questions. We went in a lot of different directions today, and it was great. It's good to go a bunch of different directions and answer a whole bunch of different questions. If you are not presently reading or have not read There's a Hole in My Love Cup, I encourage you to get it. It is at badasscounseling.com, as is my new book, Badass Wisdom, and the Spanish translation of There's a Hole in My Love Cup is coming out very, very soon. So if you know someone who is fluent in Spanish and would prefer it in Spanish, I encourage you to get There's a Hole in My Love Cup. Rob is having a good day. I'm having a good day. Time to go have more of a good day. To all of you around the world, thank you so much for tuning in to another lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show, from Quebec City to South Africa to Kenya. Thanks so much for tuning in. We love you, and have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.